Lately, I have been thinking about something that I do not think I have ever fully understood about myself. And that is why asking for help has always felt so uncomfortable for me. What surprised me when I really sat with this thought is that I do not think it actually started with aging. I think getting older has changed the feeling a little, but if I am honest, this has probably been part of me for most of my life. When I was younger and raising children, I had a hard time asking for help too. Back then, I think it came from a different place. I felt like I should be able to manage everything on my own. I felt responsible for keeping life moving, solving problems, making things work, and somehow holding it all together, even when things felt difficult. I do not know if anyone else has ever felt this way, but for me, there was also something quietly embarrassing about needing help. Life was not always easy, and there were times I struggled more than people probably realized. I think a part of me worried that if someone stepped in too closely, they might see how overwhelmed I really felt or how hard things had become. It somehow felt safer to keep pushing myself than to let people see me struggling. Looking back, I think I quietly connected strength with the handling everything myself. I told myself I should be able to figure it out. I should be able to cope. I should be able to manage. Now that I am older, I noticed something interesting. The discomfort is still there, but the fear underneath it feels different. These days, when I struggle asking for help, it is not always embarrassment. Sometimes it feels more connected to independence. There is this quiet fear that sits in the background of my thinking. And I do not think I have said it out loud very often. Sometimes I wonder if I stopped figuring things out myself, do I slowly become more helpless? If I lean too much on help, do I slowly lose pieces of my independence? That thought feels emotional for me because independence matters. There is something deeply meaningful about being able to say, I can still do this. I think part of me still wants to prove that to myself. Maybe that sounds stubborn. Maybe it is a little stubborn. But I think there is also something very human about wanting to feel capable. The funny thing is, I also notice that I make my life harder for myself sometimes because I hate asking for help so much. I will wait and try to figure things out myself because I do not want to interrupt someone else's plans. I do not want to inconvenience people. I don't want to feel intrusive or like a burden, even with family, especially with family sometimes. Because I know they love me, and I know most of the time they probably would never say no if I ask for help, but that uncomfortable feeling still shows up anyway. I catch myself thinking, they are just busy, or they have enough on their plate, or I will wait until they are not so busy. Then, before I know it, I have waited far too long. I had this happen recently with a shed I needed built. Actually, it was just last year. I asked for help in the spring. because in my mind I was thinking this would be really good to get done before the extreme heat arrives of the summer. The interesting part is, I do not think I ever really said that out loud. In my head, there was a timeline. In my head, there was urgency. And in my head, I had already pictured how this would happen. Then time passed, and suddenly the hot weather arrived. And now it felt miserable to even think about building it. And if I am honest, I felt frustrated. But then something strange happened. I felt guilty for feeling frustrated because I did not want to ask again. I did not want to seem pushy. I did not want to sound demanding or ungrateful. And that got me thinking about something. How many times have I quietly struggled because I expected people to somehow understand needs, timelines, or worries that I never fully explained? Because asking already felt uncomfortable in the first place. That was not an easy thing for me to admit. Then another thought came to me. I started wondering if people sometimes ask the wrong question when they want to help someone like me. Because if someone asks me, "Do you need help?" or "Do you need anything?" there is a very good chance I will automatically say no, I'm okay. Even if part of me probably could use help. Even if I am tired, and even if something feels hard. Even if I am quietly overwhelmed. I think something in me immediately wants to say, "No, I'm okay." Maybe it is pride, maybe it is habit, or maybe it is just me trying to prove to myself I am still capable. Maybe it is fear of feeling dependent. I honestly do not know. What I do know is that vague questions are easy to say no to. But lately I have been wondering, if thoughtful help feels different, there is something about someone saying, "I am heading to the store, I'll grab milk for you," or "I have some time Saturday. Let's finally get that shed started." That feels different somehow. Not because I want people taking over my life. Not because I want people assuming I cannot do things, but because sometimes specific kindness feels easier to receive than general help. It feels caring instead of uncomfortable. At the same time, I have had to be honest with myself about something too. People are not mind readers. As much as I wish someone might magically know exactly what I need, and when I need it, that is probably not fair either. If I am quietly holding timelines, worries, frustrations, and expectations inside my own head, people cannot respond to things they do not know. That realization made me stop and think. Maybe this whole thing is more complicated than I first realized. Maybe part of learning to age is learning how to ask more clearly. Maybe part of loving someone who struggles, asking for help, is learning how to offer it gently. And maybe independence is not exactly what I once thought it was. I used to think independence meant doing everything myself. Now I am beginning to wonder if real independence also means knowing what actually matters, protecting my energy, and being honest about where I could use support. Because needing help building a shed does not suddenly erase who I am. It does not erase everything I know, everything I survived, everything I have learned, or all the things I can still do. It means I needed help building a shed. That is all. That's simple. Maybe strength changes as we age. Maybe strength is not always carrying everything alone. And maybe sometimes strength quietly looks like saying, you know what? I would use a little help here. I am still figuring this out. Part of me still struggles, and part of me still hates feeling like I am interrupting someone else's life. But another part of me is slowly starting to wonder if receiving help is not weakness at all. Maybe sometimes it is trust, and maybe sometimes it is connection. Maybe sometimes it is wisdom. I would really love to know what you think. Has asking for help always been hard for you? Or has it become harder as you have gotten older? And when someone offers help, what actually makes it easier for you to accept it? I have a feeling I am probably not the only one quietly trying to figure this out.